The harsh ring of Harper Sullivan's phone interrupted his sleep at the ungodly hour of 6 a.m. He groaned, fumbling for the device on his nightstand, already knowing who it was before he answered. Only one person in his life had the audacity to call at this hour. "Harper, are you still sleeping?" "It's practically midday." His sister's voice, much too chipper for the early morning, grated on his nerves. "Hannah, it's 6 a.m. on a Saturday," Harper grumbled, pushing himself into a sitting position in his king-sized bed that overlooked the Manhattan skyline. "Some of us work until midnight." "Oh please, poor billionaire with his late-night shipping empire meetings. Listen, I'm not calling to hear you complain," Hannah said, the smile evident in her voice. "I've set you up on a double date tonight." Harper nearly choked. "You did what? A double date?" "Me and Jacob. You and this absolutely lovely woman I met at my yoga class. Her name is Laura. She's gorgeous, smart, works in publishing, and most importantly, she has no idea who you are." Harper pinched the bridge of his nose. At 34, he was the founder and CEO of Maritime Ventures, one of the largest private shipping companies in the world. After building it from scratch over 12 years, he now found himself with more money than he knew what to do with and very little time for relationships. His last few dates had been disasters. Women interested more in his net worth than in him. "Hannah, I appreciate the thought, but I'm not interested." "Too bad, I already told her you'd be there. Piacier, that new Italian place in Tribeca, 8 p.m. And Harper, wear something nice, not one of those stuffy suits you call casual wear." Before he could protest further, she hung up. Harper fell back against his pillows with a groan. His sister had been trying to set him up for years, insisting he needed someone to bring him back to earth. It was irritating how she treated his success, like it was something to be apologetic about. Knowing there was no use fighting it, Hannah would physically drag him there. If needed, Harper resigned himself to the inevitable. At least he could get some work done before then. Several blocks away, in a modest apartment in Brooklyn, Kylie Matthews rushed around her kitchen, simultaneously trying to make coffee and finish the last touches on a floral arrangement for a client. As one of the city's up-and-coming florists, she had built a small but impressive clientele that appreciated her artistic approach to floral design. "Laura, are you up? Your coffee's getting cold," Kylie called out, carefully wrapping the base of the arrangement in decorative paper. Her older sister emerged from the guest room looking surprisingly put together for someone who had only flown in from Chicago yesterday. "I've been up for an hour already. Some of us maintain normal human schedules," Laura teased, grabbing the mug Kylie had prepared. "Some of us have to deliver a centerpiece to the Waldorf by 9, Kylie countered, securing the arrangement with a ribbon. At 29, she had built her business, Bloom and Wild, from a tiny cart to a respected boutique in just 5 years. The early mornings were worth it. "Speaking of schedules," Laura began, leaning against the counter with a mischievous look that instantly made Kylie suspicious. "I've arranged something fun for us tonight." "What kind of something?" Kylie asked warily. Her sister's idea of fun often involved trying to set Kylie up with some man she hardly knew. "A double date. I met this amazing woman at yoga yesterday, Hannah, and she mentioned her brother is single, and I said my sister is single too, and well, we're meeting them tonight at Piacier." Kylie nearly dropped the scissors she was holding. "You did what?" "Laura, I'm swamped with orders this weekend. The Williams wedding is tomorrow, and I still have, which is exactly why you need a break," Laura interrupted. "When was the last time you went on a date? Or had a meal that wasn't eaten hunched over your workbench?" Kylie opened her mouth to argue but realized she couldn't remember. Between growing her business and dealing with the aftermath of her broken engagement last year, to a man who had decided her little flower shop wasn't ambitious enough for his future plans. Dating had fallen to the bottom of her priority list. "Fine," she relented, "but I'm not staying late, and if he turns out to be another finance bro who thinks my job is cute, I'm leaving." Laura beamed. "Deal. Hannah says her brother runs some kind of business, but she promised he's down to earth." "Oh, and wear that green dress you never let yourself wear because it's too fancy for work. This place is supposed to be really nice." Kylie sighed, already mentally reorganizing her evening workflow to accommodate this unwelcome interruption. At least she could use the opportunity to network. Rich people always needed florists for their extravagant parties. By 7:55 p.m., Harper was seated at a corner table at Pioneer, nursing a glass of scotch and checking his watch every 30 seconds. Hannah had texted to say she and Jacob were running late. No surprise there, which meant he'd be facing this Laura woman alone for the first awkward minutes of their date. Harper had spent the day reviewing quarterly projections and fielding calls from his operations manager about a delayed shipment in Singapore. The last thing he wanted was to make small talk with a stranger, but he'd promised Hannah, and despite her meddling, he could never really say no to his little sister. Just as he took another sip of his drink, a woman approached the table. Harper looked up, expecting to see Laura, but instead found himself staring at someone entirely different. She was slender but curvy in a deep emerald dress that complemented her olive skin. Dark hair fell in loose waves past her shoulders, and her eyes, a warm amber color, seemed to hold a mix of nervousness and determination. "Hi, are you Harper?" she asked, her voice melodic but with a hint of hesitation. Harper stood, his manners kicking in automatically. "Yes, I am. But I'm afraid there might be a mistake. I'm supposed to be meeting someone named Laura." The woman's face fell slightly. "Oh, I'm Kylie. Laura's my sister. She just called and said she's running late too, so she sent me ahead." She gave an apologetic smile. "Family double date switcheroo, I guess." Harper found himself unexpectedly charmed by her slightly flustered demeanor. "Well, Kylie, please join me. Apparently my sister is running late as well, which is entirely on brand for Hannah." He pulled out a chair for her, and as she sat down, he caught the subtle scent of something floral and fresh, not perfume, but something that seemed to be naturally part of her. "Thank you," Kylie said, settling into her seat and placing her small purse on the table. "I'll be honest, I wasn't thrilled about being set up on a date either. Sisters, right?" Harper laughed genuinely for what felt like the first time that day. "Exactly. Hannah has made it her mission to find me a normal relationship, whatever that means." "Laura thinks I work too much," Kylie admitted, accepting the menu from the waiter who had appeared at their table. "Which is ironic coming from a woman who schedules her bathroom breaks." "What kind of work do you do?" Harper asked, genuinely curious. He'd expected another lawyer or financial analyst, the type Hannah usually thought was perfect for him. "I'm a florist," Kylie said, with a hint of defensiveness that suggested she was used to people underestimating her profession. "I own Bloom and Wild in Brooklyn." Harper's eyebrows rose in surprise. "Wait, Bloom and Wild. You did the installations for the Smithson Gallery opening last month, didn't you? Those suspended gardens were incredible." Kylie's expression shifted from defensive to pleasantly surprised. "You were there?" "Yes, that was one of my designs. It took 3 days to install properly." "It was remarkable," Harper said sincerely. "I remember thinking it transformed the entire space." A slight blush colored Kylie's cheeks. "Thank you. Most people just see florist and think I arrange roses in vases all day." "Most people lack imagination," Harper replied, surprised by how comfortable he felt with this woman who wasn't even supposed to be his date. Before Kylie could respond, Hannah's voice cut through their conversation. "Harper, sorry we're late." His sister approached the table with her boyfriend Jacob in tow, and beside them was a tall, polished-looking woman who Harper assumed must be Laura. Harper stood again, but his eyes lingered on Kylie for a moment before turning to the newcomers. Already, he found himself disappointed that their private conversation had been interrupted. "Hannah, Jacob," he greeted them, then nodded to the other woman. "You must be Laura." Laura smiled politely, but her gaze immediately went to Kylie. "I see you two have met already." "Sorry for the delay, work emergency." Kylie rolled her eyes affectionately at her sister. "Publishing emergencies on a Saturday night. The literary world waits for no one," Laura said dramatically, taking the seat next to Harper while Hannah and Jacob sat on either side of Kylie. As everyone settled in, Harper couldn't help but notice the stark differences between the sisters. Where Kylie seemed warm and genuine with hints of creative energy simmering beneath the surface, Laura was polished and calculated, every word measured before she spoke. Throughout the appetizers, Harper found himself responding to Laura's questions while his gaze constantly drifted to Kylie across the table. She was deep in conversation with Jacob about sustainable gardening practices, her hands moving animatedly as she spoke. There was something captivating about her passion, so different from the practiced interest he usually encountered on these set-up dates. "So, Harper," Laura said, drawing his attention back to her, "Hannah tells me you run some kind of business. What field are you in?" Harper hesitated, always cautious about revealing too much about his wealth and status early on. "I'm in shipping, maritime ventures." Laura's eyes widened slightly clearly. She recognized the name of his multi-billion-dollar company. "Oh, that's impressive." "Hannah didn't mention you were that Harper Sullivan." Across the table, Kylie paused her conversation, her head turning slightly toward them. "Maritime Ventures, the company that implemented the Sustainable Shipping Initiative last year." Harper nodded, surprised again. "You know about that?" "I read about it in that environmental journal," Kylie said. "You switched your entire fleet to reduced emission engines and implemented that plastic collection system. That's incredible work." "It was the right thing to do," Harper said simply, secretly pleased that she knew about one of the projects he was most proud of, rather than just recognizing his company for its worth. Laura cleared her throat. "Well, that's certainly admirable. I work in publishing myself, senior editor at Whitman Press. We're small but selective." The conversation continued, but Harper found his attention divided. Every time Kylie spoke, he found himself drawn to her voice, to the way she listened intently to everyone at the table, to how genuine her laugh sounded when Hannah told a ridiculous story about their childhood. By the time dessert arrived, it was clear to everyone except perhaps Laura that the chemistry at the table was not flowing in the direction the sisters had planned. Hannah kept giving Harper knowing looks whenever he engaged with Kylie, while Jacob seemed amused by the whole situation. "I think I need some air," Kylie said suddenly, standing up after finishing her tiramisu. "Excuse me for a minute." Harper watched her go, then found himself standing as well. "I should check my messages," he muttered, ignoring Hannah's smirk as he followed Kylie's path to the restaurant's outdoor terrace. He found her leaning against the railing, looking out at the twinkling lights of Tribeca. The night air was cool but pleasant, carrying the distant sounds of the city. "Is everything okay?" he asked, coming to stand beside her. Kylie turned, not seeming surprised to see him. "Just needed a break from the matchmaking vibes in there. My sister means well, but she has a very specific idea of who you should be with," Harper finished for her. "Exactly," Kylie laughed softly. "Laura thinks I need someone stable and established to balance out my creative chaos, as she puts it. And Hannah thinks I need someone who won't be intimidated by my success, but also won't be after my money, Harper admitted. It's a narrow target. Kylie studied him for a moment. It must be difficult, never knowing people's true intentions. The simple understanding in her voice struck Harper deeply. Most people either dismissed his concerns as rich people problems or tried to assure him they didn't care about his money in a way that only highlighted how much they actually did. "It can be," he said quietly. "But sometimes you meet people who make you forget about all that. People who see beyond the surface." Their eyes locked, and Harper felt something shift between them, a recognition, a connection that had been building all evening. "We should probably go back inside," Kylie said finally, though she made no move to leave. "They'll wonder where we've gone." "Probably," Harper agreed, also remaining in place. "Or we could just stay here a bit longer. The view is nice." Kylie smiled, turning back toward the city lights. "It is, different from my usual view in Brooklyn." "What's that like?" Harper asked, genuinely curious about her life. "Chaotic but beautiful. My apartment is above my shop, so I basically live in a jungle. Plants everywhere, design sketches scattered around, always the scent of flowers. It drives Laura crazy when she visits. She's all about minimalism and order." "It sounds perfect," Harper said, surprising himself with how much he meant it. His own penthouse, while stunning, often felt sterile and unlived in. "What about you? I'm guessing the billionaire shipping magnate doesn't live in a cramped apartment above a flower shop." Harper laughed at her directness. "No, I have a place in Tribeca. Too big for one person, honestly. My interior designer created this perfect magazine-worthy space that I barely spend time in." "The curse of success," Kylie noted without judgment. "All that space and no time to enjoy it." A comfortable silence fell between them, broken only when Harper's phone buzzed in his pocket. He reluctantly checked it to find a text from Hannah. "If you're planning to escape with the wrong sister, at least have the courtesy to tell us so we can handle Laura." He couldn't help but smile at his sister's perceptiveness. "Hannah knows we're out here," he told Kylie, "and she's apparently designated herself as crowd control." Kylie groaned. "Laura is going to be so annoyed. This isn't how the evening was supposed to go." "No," Harper agreed, taking a chance and moving slightly closer to her. "It's better." Their eyes met again, and this time Kylie didn't look away. "Much better," she said softly. "Maybe we should go back and face the music," Harper suggested, though every part of him wanted to stay in this moment. "And then, if you're interested, perhaps we could continue this conversation another time. Without our matchmaking sisters." Kylie's smile lit up her entire face. "I'd like that, though we'll never hear the end of it from either of them." "Worth it," Harper said decisively, offering her his arm in an old-fashioned gesture that felt right somehow. As they walked back into the restaurant, Harper knew something significant had just happened on that terrace. Whatever this was between them, this instant, unexpected connection, it felt real in a way few things in his carefully managed life ever did. When they returned to the table, the atmosphere had shifted. Laura looked slightly uncomfortable, while Hannah appeared triumphant. Jacob, ever the neutral party, simply seemed entertained by the whole situation. "Everything okay?" Hannah asked innocently, though her eyes gleamed with mischief. "Perfect," Harper replied, helping Kylie back into her seat before returning to his own. "Just getting some fresh air." "Right," Laura said tersely. "Well, it's getting late. Perhaps we should ask for the check." Hannah shot Harper a warning look, which he interpreted correctly. "Please, let me take care of it. It's the least I can do since you all arranged this evening." As they waited for the check, conversation resumed, though somewhat awkwardly. Laura kept glancing between Harper and Kylie with a frown, clearly noting the chemistry that had developed. When they finally left the restaurant, standing together on the sidewalk, Laura immediately said, "Kylie, we should grab a cab back to Brooklyn." "Actually," Kylie began hesitantly, "I was thinking I'd be happy to give you both a ride," Harper interrupted smoothly. "My driver is just around the corner." Hannah, reading the situation perfectly, linked her arm with Jacob's. "And we're heading uptown, so we'll catch our own car. Laura, it was lovely meeting you. We should definitely get together again soon." Before Laura could protest, Hannah had pulled Jacob away, leaving the remaining four standing somewhat awkwardly on the sidewalk. "That's really not necessary," Laura said stiffly. "We can easily get a cab." Harper looked at Kylie, leaving the decision to her. She met his gaze, and something passed between them, an understanding, a shared desire to extend the evening if possible. "It would be nice not to wait for a cab," Kylie said carefully. "And it's late. If Harper doesn't mind, I think we should accept the offer." Laura's lips thinned, but she nodded tersely. Harper texted his driver, who arrived minutes later in a sleek black SUV. As they settled into the backseat, with Laura claiming the front passenger seat in what seemed like a deliberate move to separate them, Harper found himself sitting close to Kylie, their shoulders nearly touching. "Brooklyn Heights, please," Laura instructed the driver before Harper could speak. As the car pulled away from the curb, Harper leaned slightly toward Kylie. "I meant what I said earlier," he whispered, careful not to be overheard. "I'd really like to see you again." Kylie glanced at the back of her sister's head before replying quietly, "I'd like that too. Here." She slipped her hand into her purse and pulled out a business card. "My number's on there, the business and personal one." Their fingers brushed as he took the card, sending an unexpected jolt of electricity through Harper's body. It had been a long time since he'd felt this immediate connection to someone, this desire to know everything about them, to spend more time in their presence. The ride to Brooklyn passed with minimal conversation, Laura occasionally pointing out landmarks to the driver or asking Harper polite but distant questions about his company. Throughout it all, Harper was acutely aware of Kylie beside him, of her scent, of the way she tucked her hair behind her ear when she was thinking. When they finally arrived at the brownstone where Laura was staying with Kylie, Harper instructed his driver to wait and stepped out to walk them to the door. "Thank you for the ride," Laura said formally, extending her hand for a businesslike shake. "It was nice meeting you, Harper." "Likewise," he replied, shaking her hand before turning to Kylie. "And thank you for a wonderful evening." "Thank you," Kylie said, her eyes conveying much more than her words, "for everything." Laura had already started up the steps to the building, keys in hand, giving them a brief moment of privacy. "I'll call you tomorrow," Harper said softly. "If that's okay, I'd like that," Kylie replied with a smile that made his heart race. "I have deliveries until noon, but after that." "I'll wait," Harper promised. "Good night, Kylie." "Good night, Harper." As he watched her climb the steps to join her sister, Harper felt lighter than he had in years. The evening had taken an unexpected turn, but somehow it felt right, as if the universe had corrected a mistake and put him exactly where he needed to be. Back in his car, he looked at Kylie's business card in the dim light. "Bloom and Wild Floral Design," it read in elegant typography, with a small illustration of twining flowers at the corners. Below the business information was her personal number, handwritten hastily before she'd given him the card. Harper couldn't help but smile. For once, he was grateful for his sister's meddling ways. This was one double date he wouldn't be complaining about. The next morning, Kylie was up before dawn, carefully loading arrangements for the Williams' wedding into her delivery van. Despite getting home late and enduring Laura's lecture about stealing her date, she felt strangely energized. Thoughts of Harper, his attentiveness, his genuine interest in her work, the intensity in his eyes when they stood together on the terrace kept playing through her mind. Need some help? Laura appeared in the shop doorway, coffee in hand, still wearing her pajamas under a robe. I thought you weren't speaking to me, Kylie said, placing another arrangement in a special holder to keep it upright during transport. Laura sighed. I'm not angry, just confused. That wasn't how the evening was supposed to go. Life rarely goes according to plan, Kylie replied, securing the last arrangement, especially not when sisters try to plan each other's love lives. Taché. Laura took a sip of her coffee. So, are you going to see him again? Kylie hesitated, then nodded. He's calling today, and yes, I want to see him again. He's a billionaire, Kylie, Laura said quietly. His world is completely different from yours. Maybe, Kylie acknowledged, closing the van doors and turning to face her sister. But last night, that didn't seem to matter. We connected in a way I haven't experienced in a long time. Isn't that worth exploring? Laura's expression softened. Just be careful, okay? I don't want to see you get hurt again. Not after Daniel. Kylie winced at the mention of her ex-fiancé. Harper isn't Daniel. He actually seemed impressed by my work, not dismissive of it. All right, Laura conceded. I trust your judgment, and I admit he seemed nice enough, just unexpected. Kylie smiled, grabbing her keys. The best things usually are, I've got to run big wedding today. There's fresh coffee in the pot if you want more. As she drove through the early morning Brooklyn streets, Kylie couldn't help but wonder what Harper was doing at that moment. Was he thinking of her too? Or was last night just a pleasant diversion for a man who could have any woman he wanted? She pushed the doubts away, focusing on the day ahead. Whatever happened with Harper Sullivan, she had a business to run and dreams of her own to pursue. Harper woke early, despite the late night. He lay in bed for a while, staring at the ceiling and replaying moments from the evening before. Kylie's laugh, the way her eyes lit up when she talked about her work, the feeling of standing next to her on the terrace with the city spread out below them. He reached for his phone, looking again at her business card, which he'd placed on his nightstand. It was too early to call. She'd mentioned morning deliveries, but he couldn't resist looking up her shop online. The Bloom and Wild website was beautiful and clearly reflected Kylie's artistic sensibility. Photos showcased elaborate installations for events, delicate bridal bouquets, and what appeared to be her signature. Wild, untamed arrangements that somehow looked both carefully designed and naturally perfect. The About page featured a photo of Kylie in her shop, surrounded by flowers, looking completely in her element. Harper found himself smiling at the image. There was something refreshing about her passion, her dedication to creating beautiful things. In his world of shipping routes and profit margins, that kind of pure creativity was rare. His phone rang, interrupting his thoughts. Hannah's name flashed on the screen. Calling to gloat, he answered, unable to keep the amusement from his voice. Absolutely, his sister replied cheerfully. Though technically, I should be annoyed that you completely ignored your actual date. Poor Laura looked like she wanted to sink through the floor when you two came back from your fresh air break. That wasn't the plan, Harper said, sitting up and running a hand through his hair. But sometimes plans change for the better. So eloquent this morning, Hannah teased. I take it you're seeing Kylie again. I'm calling her later today, Harper confirmed. And yes, before you ask, I really like her. She's different good. Different everything, Harper said, surprised by his own candor. Genuine, passionate about her work, not impressed by who I am or what I have. Well, considering she spent half the evening talking to you before she even knew you were that Harper Sullivan, I'd say that's a good sign, Hannah pointed out. And for what it's worth, I liked her too. Much more than I expected to like Laura, if I'm being honest. Don't tell me you planned this whole switcheroo, Harper groaned. I wish I were that clever, Hannah laughed. No, this was pure serendipity. But as your annoying little sister who knows you better than anyone, I saw the way you looked at her. You haven't looked at anyone like that in years, Harper. Harper didn't deny it. She gave me her number. Both numbers, actually business and personal. Well, don't mess it up by being all billionaire businessmen about it, Hannah advised. No sending expensive gifts or picking her up in the helicopter for a first date. Get to know the real her and let her get to know the real you, not just the CEO. I know how to date, Hannah, Harper said dryly. You. Because your last relationship was with that model who just happened to be launching a swimwear line and needed investors. Harper winced. Low blow. But accurate, Hannah countered. Kylie seems special. Don't scare her off with the Sullivan wealth display. Promise me. I promise, Harper said seriously. This feels different. I want to do it right. After ending the call with Hannah, Harper spent the morning catching up on work emails, but his mind kept drifting back to Kylie. When noon finally arrived, he found himself staring at his phone, suddenly nervous about making the call. What if she'd reconsidered? What if the connection he felt had been one-sided? Taking a deep breath, he dialed her personal number. She answered on the third ring, slightly out of breath. Hello, Kylie, it's Harper Sullivan, he added unnecessarily, immediately regretting it. From last night, her laugh came through the line, warm and genuine. I remember. Hold on a second. He heard rustling, then a door closing. Sorry, I just finished a delivery and needed to step outside for better reception. No problem. I hope I'm not interrupting anything important. Just a bridezilla having a meltdown about her centerpieces being too pink when she specifically requested blush, Kylie said, amusement in her voice. All part of a day's work. Harper smiled at her candor. Sounds challenging. It can be, but worth it when everything comes together. There was a pause then. I'm glad you called. The simple statement made Harper's heart rate pick up. I've been thinking about you, he admitted. About last night, I really enjoyed talking with you. Me too, Kylie said softly. It was unexpected but nice. I was wondering if you'd like to have dinner with me. Just the two of us this time, no sisters involved. Kylie's laugh came again. I'd love that. When were you thinking? How about tomorrow night? Unless that's too soon, Harper added quickly, not wanting to seem too eager. Tomorrow works for me, Kylie replied, and he could hear the smile in her voice. My Sundays are usually quiet. Perfect. I know a great place in the West Village. Small, family-owned Italian restaurant, nothing fancy, but the food is incredible. I can pick you up around 7. That sounds wonderful, Kylie said. I'll text you my address. They talked for a few more minutes, easy conversation flowing between them as if they'd known each other for years instead of hours. When they finally hung up, Harper found himself grinning at his phone like a teenager. For the first time in a long while, he was genuinely looking forward to a date. Not a business dinner disguised as romance, not an obligation to please his sister, but a real chance to get to know someone who intrigued him on every level. Sunday evening arrived, and Kylie found herself changing outfits for the third time. Her bedroom looked like a clothing explosion had occurred, with dresses, blouses, and skirts strewn across every surface. What about this one? Laura asked, holding up a sophisticated black dress that she had brought with her from Chicago. Too formal, Kylie said, discarding another option. He said the place is casual. Laura sat on the edge of the bed, watching her sister's uncharacteristic indecision with amusement. I've never seen you this worked up over a date before. I'm not worked up, Kylie protested, though even she didn't believe it. I just want to look nice. Hum, Laura hummed skeptically. This has nothing to do with the fact that he's probably used to dating supermodels and socialites. Kylie paused, a burgundy sweater in her hands. That's not fair. You don't know who he usually dates. He's a billionaire, Kylie, Laura pointed out, as if explaining something to a child. You know as well as I do what that world is like. Maybe, Kylie conceded, but he doesn't seem like that type. He was so normal, engaged, present. Laura's expression softened. For your sake, I hope that's true. I just don't want you setting yourself up for disappointment. Kylie finally settled on dark jeans paired with a soft blue blouse that brought out the gold flecks in her eyes. She left her hair down in its natural waves and kept her makeup minimal, deciding that trying too hard would only make her feel less like herself. At precisely 7 o'clock, her buzzer rang. Taking a deep breath, she grabbed her purse and jacket. Have fun, Laura called from the couch where she was reading manuscripts. And remember, no matter how charming he is, he's still a billionaire. Yes, I know, Kylie finished for her. Try not to wait up. When she opened the door to her building, Kylie's breath caught slightly. Harper stood on the sidewalk, looking devastatingly handsome in dark jeans and a charcoal sweater that hinted at the muscular frame beneath. His hair was slightly tousled by the breeze, and he held a small bouquet of flowers. Hi, she said, suddenly feeling shy despite their easy phone conversation yesterday. Hi, Harper replied, his eyes taking her in appreciatively. You look beautiful. Thank you, Kylie said, gesturing to his attire. You clean up pretty well yourself, not a suit in sight. Harper laughed, handing her the flowers. I followed instructions, and I know bringing flowers to a florist is probably cliché, but... Kylie took the bouquet, a simple arrangement of ranunculus and anemones, nothing extravagant but clearly chosen with care. It's not cliché at all. These are lovely. Thank you. I may have visited 3 flower shops before finding one that didn't seem like they just grabbed whatever was in the cooler, Harper admitted sheepishly. Knowing what you do for a living made me a bit nervous about the selection. The fact that he had put such thought into something so simple touched Kylie deeply. You chose perfectly. These are actually some of my favorites. Harper's genuine smile made her heart flutter. Shall we? I have a car waiting, but the restaurant is only about 15 minutes away. The car was a modest town car, nice, but not ostentatious. Kylie appreciated that he hadn't arrived in some flashy vehicle that would have drawn attention from everyone on her block. As they drove through the early evening traffic, conversation flowed naturally between them. Harper asked about her day, listening attentively as she described the Williams wedding and the last-minute crisis with the bride's bouquet. What about you? Kylie asked. Do shipping magnates work on Sundays? Harper chuckled. This one did, unfortunately. Had a video conference with our team in Singapore this morning. Time zones are the bane of my existence. That sounds exhausting, Kylie said sympathetically. It can be, Harper agreed. But I built the company from nothing, so even though we have over 5,000 employees now, I still feel responsible for every aspect of it. Wait, Kylie said, surprised. You built Maritime Ventures yourself. I assumed it was a family business or something you acquired. Harper shook his head. Started it when I was 22 with one leased cargo ship and more ambition than sense. Spent the first 2 years living on instant noodles and working 20-hour days. Hannah says I've forgotten those humble beginnings, but they're what keeps me grounded. Kylie studied him with new appreciation. That's incredibly impressive. Harper shrugged, looking almost uncomfortable with the praise. I got lucky in some ways. Right place, right time, right idea. And modesty too, Kylie teased. A rare quality in successful people. They arrived at the restaurant, a charming hole in the wall with twinkling lights in the windows, and the mouth-watering aroma of garlic and herbs wafting from the door. Inside, it was cozy and intimate, with perhaps a dozen tables total. The owner, an elderly Italian man, greeted Harper with obvious familiarity. "Mr. Sullivan, so good to see you again. It has been too long." "Hello, Antonio," Harper replied warmly. "This is Kylie. I promised her the best Italian food in the city." Antonio beamed, taking Kylie's hand in both of his. "Bellissima, come, I have your usual table ready." He led them to a quiet corner booth, partially secluded from the rest of the dining room by a trellis covered in artificial grapevines. It was kitschy but charming, and Kylie immediately felt comfortable. "I hope you don't mind," Harper said as they settled in. "I've been coming here for years, since before Maritime took off. Antonio refuses to let me pay full price, so I tip outrageously to make up for it." "It's perfect," Kylie assured him, looking around at the family photos on the walls and the mismatched china on the tables. "Much better than some trendy place where we'd have to shout over the music." Antonio himself brought them wine, a robust red that he insisted paired perfectly with his special Osso Bucco, and took their orders with theatrical flair. As they sipped their wine, Kylie found herself relaxing completely. There was something about Harper that put her at ease, despite his wealth and status. He listened when she spoke, asked thoughtful questions, and shared his own stories without dominating the conversation. "So," Harper said as they finished their appetizers, "tell me more about how you got into floristry. Was it always a passion?" Kylie nodded. "Since I was a kid. Our mother was an avid gardener, and I would follow her around, learning the names of everything. When she got sick cancer, when I was 16, I would bring fresh flowers to her hospital room every day. The nurses said it brightened not just her room but the whole floor." "I'm sorry about your mother," Harper said gently. "Thank you," Kylie replied with a small smile. "After she passed, I decided that's what I wanted to do, bring beauty and life into spaces that needed it. I studied botany in college but realized I was more drawn to the artistic side than the scientific one." "And now you have your own shop," Harper noted. "That's a significant achievement." "It's been a journey," Kylie admitted. "Started with a flower cart in Brooklyn Heights, saving every penny until I could afford a tiny storefront. Now I have the shop on Bergen Street and 5 part-time employees." "You enjoy the business side of things." "Many creative people struggle with that aspect," Kylie laughed. "I'm learning. Profit margins on fresh flowers are challenging, especially with the high-end work I prefer to do. But I'm getting better at charging what my time and talent are worth, not just what I think people will pay." Harper nodded approvingly. "That's a lesson many entrepreneurs never learn." Their main courses arrived, temporarily halting the conversation. The food was as delicious as Harper had promised, hearty, authentic Italian cuisine served in generous portions. "So," Kylie said after savoring a few bites, "you know about my family overprotective sister, gardening mother. What about yours? Besides Hannah the matchmaker, of course." A shadow briefly crossed Harper's face. "It's just Hannah and me now. Our parents died in a car accident when I was 24 and she was 20. That's actually part of what drove me to build Maritime so aggressively. I needed to make sure she would always be taken care of." "I'm so sorry," Kylie said softly, instinctively reaching across the table to touch his hand. "That must have been incredibly difficult." Harper's fingers curled around hers. "It was. But Hannah and I got through it together. She's annoying as hell sometimes, but she's also my best friend." "Don't tell her I said that, though I'll never hear the end of it." Kylie smiled, giving his hand a squeeze before reluctantly withdrawing hers. "Your secret's safe with me. Laura and I are the same way. She drives me crazy with her obsessive planning and her need to fix my life, but I don't know what I'd do without her." Siblings, Harper said with a rueful smile. Can't live with them. Can't murder them because it's illegal, Kylie finished, making him laugh out loud. The rest of dinner passed in a similar vein, sharing stories, discovering common interests, and enjoying the easy chemistry between them. By the time they finished dessert, a heavenly tiramisu that Antonio insisted they try, Kylie felt as if she'd known Harper for years rather than days. When they finally left the restaurant, the night had turned cooler. Harper immediately noticed Kylie's slight shiver and draped his jacket over her shoulders. "Thank you," she said, pulling it closer around her. It smelled like him, a subtle cologne with notes of sandalwood and something uniquely Harper. "My car should be here soon," he said, checking his phone. "But it's such a nice night. Would you like to walk for a bit? There's a small park just down the block." "I'd love to," Kylie replied, not ready for the evening to end. They strolled side by side, occasionally brushing shoulders, until they reached the park, really just a small square with benches and carefully tended flower beds. The spring blooms were just beginning to emerge, their shapes visible in the light from the vintage-style lamps that illuminated the paths. "The horticulturist in me can't help but notice they've planted these all wrong," Kylie commented, examining one of the beds. "The taller varieties should be in the back, and they've got shade-loving plants in full sun positions." Harper watched her with amusement. "I love how you can't turn off your professional eye. It's the same for me with shipping logistics. Hannah says I ruined the movie Castaway for her because I kept pointing out the implausibilities in the FedEx plane crash scenario." Kylie laughed, turning away from the flower beds to face him. In the soft lamplight, his features were somehow both sharper and softer, his eyes reflecting the subtle glow. "I've had a wonderful time tonight, Harper," she said honestly. "So have I," he replied, taking a step closer. "Better than I've had in a very long time." There was a moment of charged silence, both of them clearly thinking the same thing but hesitating to make the first move. Finally, Harper spoke. "I'd really like to kiss you, Kylie, if that's okay." Instead of answering, Kylie closed the remaining distance between them, rising slightly on her toes as Harper bent his head toward hers. Their lips met softly at first, a gentle exploration that quickly deepened as Harper's arms encircled her waist and Kylie's hands found their way to his shoulders. The kiss was everything a first kiss should be: exciting yet comfortable, passionate yet sweet. When they finally pulled apart, both slightly breathless, Kylie knew with certainty that whatever this was between them, it was real and worth pursuing. "Wow," Harper murmured, his forehead resting against hers. "Yeah," Kylie agreed, unable to find more eloquent words. Harper's phone buzzed, breaking the moment. "That's probably my driver," he said reluctantly, checking the screen. "He's waiting at the corner." They walked back to the car hand in hand, neither feeling the need to fill the comfortable silence between them. The ride back to Brooklyn passed too quickly, with Kylie nestled against Harper's side, his arm around her shoulders. When they arrived at her building, Harper walked her to the door, still holding her hand. "When can I see you again?" he asked, his voice low and intimate. "I'm free Tuesday evening," Kylie replied. "The shop closes at 6. "Tuesday it is," Harper agreed. "Maybe you could come to my place." "I'll cook dinner." Kylie raised an eyebrow. "You cook?" "I'm a man of many talents," Harper said with a grin, "some of which are even marginally useful." Kylie laughed, then rose on her tiptoes to kiss him once more. "I'll look forward to it. Good night, Harper." "Good night, Kylie." As she watched him walk back to the waiting car, Kylie couldn't help the smile that spread across her face. Despite Laura's warnings, despite her own past disappointments, she couldn't deny the connection she felt with Harper Sullivan. Something told her this was just the beginning of something extraordinary. The following weeks passed in a whirlwind for both Harper and Kylie. They saw each other whenever their busy schedules allowed dinners at Harper's stunning Tribeca penthouse, where he proved to be a surprisingly competent cook. Quiet evenings at Kylie's cozy apartment above her shop, walks through the city discovering each other's favorite spots. With each meeting, their connection deepened. Harper found himself captivated by Kylie's passion for her work, her creative eye, and her grounded perspective on life. Kylie, in turn, was drawn to Harper's intellect, his quiet strength, and the glimpses of vulnerability he showed only to her. By the third week, they were speaking daily, even when they couldn't meet in person. Harper would call from his office between meetings just to hear her voice. Kylie would send him photos of particularly interesting arrangements she was working on, delighting in his thoughtful responses. Hannah, predictably, was thrilled by this development, though she tried to play it cool when Harper mentioned Kylie during their weekly brunch. "So," she said casually, stirring her mimosa, "things are going well with the wrong sister, I take it." Harper couldn't help the smile that spread across his face. "Very well, she's something special, Hannah." Hannah studied her brother's face, her teasing expression softening. "I can tell, you look different, happier. More like the Harper I remember from before Maritime became your entire life. She reminds me there's more to life than quarterly projections and shipping routes," Harper admitted. "When I'm with her, I feel like just a man, not a CEO or a billionaire." "That's because she sees you, not your bank account," Hannah pointed out. "You've needed that for a long time." "I know," Harper agreed quietly. "I just never thought I'd find it." Across the city, Kylie was having a similar conversation with Laura, who had extended her visit to New York by another week, ostensibly for work but clearly to keep an eye on her sister's burgeoning relationship. "So you've fallen for him," Laura observed as they walked through Central Park on a sunny afternoon. It wasn't a question. Kylie considered denying it but knew it would be pointless. "I think I have," she admitted. "It's happened so fast, but it also feels right. And the whole billionaire thing, honestly, most of the time I forget about it," Kylie said. "He's just Harper to me, thoughtful, smart, funny Harper who happens to run a global shipping company." Laura looked skeptical. "People like him live in a different world, Kylie. Private jets, mansions, staff catering to their every need. That lifestyle changes people." "He's not like that," Kylie insisted. "Yes, he has a beautiful home and a driver, but he's not flashy or extravagant. He values what I do. He listens when I talk. He remembers the little things." Laura sighed, linking her arm with her sister's. "I hope you're right. Just be careful with your heart, okay? I know how deeply you feel things." "I will," Kylie promised, though she suspected it might already be too late for caution. The true test of their relationship came a month after their first date, when Harper invited Kylie to accompany him to a charity gala, their first public appearance together in his world of wealth and influence. "It's for ocean conservation," he explained over dinner at her apartment. "Maritime Ventures is a major sponsor. I understand if it's not your thing, but I'd love for you to be there with me." Kylie hesitated, fork paused midway to her mouth. "A gala, like formal gowns and champagne and society photographers," Harper nodded, looking slightly uncomfortable. "Unfortunately, yes. It's important for the company's image and the cause is one I genuinely care about. But if you're not comfortable, no, it's not that," Kylie interrupted. I don't exactly have gala-appropriate attire hanging in my closet. My idea of dressing up is wearing my good jeans to client meetings." Relief crossed Harper's face. "Is that all? We can find you something to wear. In fact," he reached for his phone, scrolling through contacts. "I know a designer who owes me a favor. She could create something perfect for you." "Harper," Kylie said gently, placing her hand over his. I appreciate that, but I don't need a custom gown. I can find something suitable at a normal store with a normal price tag. Harper looked confused. But why would you when I can easily? Because that's not who I am, Kylie explained. I'm not comfortable having you spend thousands of dollars on a dress I'll wear once. That's not how I was raised, and it's not how I live my life. Understanding dawned on Harper's face. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I just wanted to make things easier for you. Kylie smiled, squeezing his hand. I know, and I love that about you, but part of being with me is understanding that I need to do things my way, even if it's not the most convenient option. Harper brought her hand to his lips, kissing her palm. You're right, and it's one of the many reasons I'm falling in love with you. The words hung in the air between them, Harper looking momentarily shocked that he'd said them aloud, Kylie feeling her heart race at the admission. You're falling in love with me, she asked softly. Harper met her gaze steadily, vulnerability and certainty mingling in his eyes. I think I fell the night we met, standing on that terrace. I've just been catching up to the reality of it since then. Kylie moved from her chair to his lap in one fluid motion, framing his face with her hands. I'm falling in love with you too, she whispered before kissing him deeply. Later, curled against Harper's chest in her bed, Kylie returned to the original topic. About the gala, I'd be honored to go with you, and I promise to find a dress that won't embarrass you in front of all your fancy friends. Harper chuckled, his fingers tracing patterns on her bare shoulder. You could wear a potato sack and still be the most beautiful woman there. Tempting, Kylie mused, but I think I'll aim slightly higher than root vegetable couture. The week before the gala, Kylie enlisted Hannah's help in finding the perfect dress. To her surprise, Harper's sister turned out to be a down-to-earth shopping companion with an excellent eye for what would suit Kylie's figure and personality. What about this one? Hannah suggested, pulling a deep emerald gown from the rack. It would look amazing with your coloring. Kylie examined the dress, simple but elegant, with a fitted bodice and flowing skirt. It's beautiful, she admitted, but probably out of my price range. Hannah checked the tag. It's on sale, actually. Still not cheap, but not outrageous either. In the dressing room, Kylie slipped the dress over her head and immediately knew it was the one. The color made her amber eyes glow, and the cut flattered her curves without being too revealing. It was sophisticated, yet understated exactly the image she wanted to project for her first foray into Harper's public life. Oh my God, Hannah breathed when Kylie emerged. It's perfect. Harper is going to swallow his tongue when he sees you in this. Kylie laughed, twirling once to watch the skirt float around her. You think so? I know so, Hannah assured her. My brother is already completely smitten with you, but this. She gestured to the dress. This will render him utterly speechless. Kylie made the purchase, wincing slightly at the price but reminding herself that this was an investment in an important night. Hannah then insisted on taking her to lunch, where the conversation turned more serious. Can I be honest with you? Hannah asked as they waited for their food. Of course, Kylie replied, taking a sip of her water. I've never seen Harper like this before, not with anyone. Hannah leaned forward, her expression earnest. He's always been so focused on the company, on building something significant. Even when he dated, it was like he kept part of himself walled off, but with you, he's different, more present, more alive. Kylie felt a warmth spread through her chest. He makes me feel the same way. After my engagement ended last year, I threw myself into work, convinced that was all I needed. But Harper showed me what I was missing: connection, understanding, support. Just don't hurt him, okay? Hannah said, a protective edge to her voice despite her friendly tone. He acts all tough and businesslike, but he's got a soft heart under all that CEO armor. I would never intentionally hurt him, Kylie promised. What we have, it's special to me too. Hannah seemed satisfied with this answer. Good, because I really like you, Kylie. You're exactly what my workaholic brother needs in his life. The night of the gala arrived, and despite her usual confidence, Kylie found herself uncharacteristically nervous as she put the finishing touches on her appearance. She had arranged her hair in a simple updo, with a few tendrils framing her face, and kept her makeup elegant but minimal. Laura, who had finally returned to Chicago the week before, called just as Kylie was slipping on her shoes. "Nervous?" she asked when Kylie answered. "Is it that obvious?" Kylie replied, checking her reflection one last time. "Only to someone who's known you your entire life," Laura assured her. "You'll be fine. Just be yourself. That's who Harper fell for after all." "What if his world is too different? What if I don't fit in?" Laura's voice softened. "Kylie, you've never worried about fitting in before. Don't start now. If these people can't appreciate you for who you are, that's their loss, not yours." "When did you become so supportive of this relationship?" Kylie asked, surprised by her sister's encouragement. "When I realized how happy he makes you," Laura admitted. "I may be overprotective sometimes, but all I've ever wanted is for you to find someone who sees your worth." Kylie's doorbell rang, signaling Harper's arrival. "He's here. I should go." "Knock him dead," Laura said, "and take pictures. I want to see this famous dress in action." When Kylie opened the door, the look on Harper's face made all her nervousness evaporate. He stared at her with such open admiration and love that she couldn't help but smile. "You are absolutely breathtaking," he said finally, stepping forward to kiss her cheek. "I'm going to be the envy of every person at this gala." "You clean up pretty well yourself," Kylie replied, taking in his tailored tuxedo that accentuated his broad shoulders and athletic build. "Very James Bond." Harper offered his arm. "Shall we, Miss Matthews?" The gala was being held at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, a venue that took Kylie's breath away as they ascended the famous steps. Inside, the space had been transformed into an underwater-themed wonderland, with blue lighting, delicate sea-inspired ice sculptures, and even professional mermaids swimming in special tanks. "This is incredible," Kylie murmured as they entered the main hall. "Maritime spends an obscene amount on the decor every year," Harper admitted, guiding her through the crowd with a hand at the small of her back. "But it's worth it. We raised over $3 million for ocean conservation projects last year." Throughout the evening, Harper introduced Kylie to countless people, business associates, fellow philanthropists, even a few celebrities who supported the cause. To her surprise, most were warm and welcoming, genuinely interested in her floral design work. "Your arrangements must be exquisite," commented the wife of a tech mogul after hearing about Bloom and Wild. "We're hosting a garden party next month. Perhaps you could handle the florals." By the time dinner was served, Kylie had collected several business cards and potential new clients. Harper watched her networking with obvious pride, occasionally squeezing her hand under the table as if to say, "You're doing great." After dinner came dancing, and Harper led Kylie to the center of the floor without hesitation. As they swayed to the music played by a live orchestra, Kylie felt as if they were in their own bubble, despite the hundreds of people surrounding them. "Are you enjoying yourself?" Harper asked, his hand warm against her back. "More than I expected to," Kylie admitted. "Though I'm enjoying being here with you most of all." Harper smiled, pulling her slightly closer. "I love you, Kylie Matthews," he said softly, the words meant only for her ears, completely and without reservation. Kylie's heart soared at the declaration. "I love you too, Harper Sullivan." "More than I thought possible in such a short time." He kissed her then, not caring who might be watching a gentle, reverent kiss that conveyed all the emotion behind his words. The rest of the evening passed in a blur of dancing, champagne, and meaningful glances between them. By the time they left, Kylie felt as if she had not only survived Harper's world, but found her own place within it, not as a billionaire's girlfriend, but as Kylie Matthews, talented florist and the woman Harper Sullivan loved. In the car on the way back to her apartment, Harper held her close, his fingers tracing lazy patterns on her arm. "Move in with me," he said suddenly. Kylie pulled back slightly to look at his face, unsure if she'd heard him correctly. "What? Move in with me?" Harper repeated, his eyes serious. "I know it's fast, but I hate saying goodbye to you every night. I hate waking up without you beside me. I want to fall asleep with you and wake up with you, every day." Kylie felt her heart racing. It was fast. They'd only been dating for a little over a month. And yet, she couldn't deny that being with Harper felt more right than anything in her life had before. "What about my shop?" she asked. "It's above my apartment. I need to be there early for deliveries, for flower shipments." "We can figure it out," Harper assured her. "My place is only 20 minutes from your shop by car. I can have a driver take you every morning, or we can look for a different solution if that doesn't work. All I know is that I want us to build a life together, and this feels like the right next step." Kylie considered it for a moment, weighing practicality against her heart's desire. "Okay," she said finally. "Yes, I'll move in with you." Harper's face lit up with such joy that any lingering doubts Kylie might have had evaporated. He pulled her into a passionate kiss that left them both breathless. "On one condition," Kylie added when they separated. "Anything," Harper promised immediately. "I need to bring some of my plants. Your place is beautiful but sterile. It needs some life." Harper laughed, the sound rich and warm. "Bring all the plants you want. Turn the penthouse into a jungle if it makes you happy. As long as you're there, I don't care if we're surrounded by ferns and ficus trees." "Careful what you wish for," Kylie warned with a smile. "I have quite the collection." "I'm counting on it," Harper replied, pulling her close again. "I want every part of you in my home, our home, including your botanical menagerie." The next few weeks were a flurry of activity as Kylie prepared to move into Harper's penthouse. Despite his offers to hire professional movers and organizers, she insisted on packing her own belongings, carefully wrapping each pot and plant herself. "These are like my children," she explained when Harper found her meticulously labeling boxes in her apartment one evening. "I can't just hand them over to strangers." Harper smiled, helping her secure a particularly delicate orchid for transport. "I understand, though I think our moving crew is getting tired of being told they're holding the boxes wrong." "They are holding them wrong," Kylie insisted. "These need to remain upright at all times." By the end of June, the move was complete. Kylie's vibrant presence transformed Harper's sleek, minimalist penthouse into a warmer, more lived-in space. Her plants adorned windowsills and corners, her colorful throw pillows softened the stark furniture, and her books and knickknacks gave the place a personal touch it had previously lacked. More importantly, the apartment now rang with laughter and conversation, instead of the sterile silence that had once greeted Harper when he returned home from work. Even when they were both busy, Harper with late-night calls to overseas offices, Kylie with sketches for upcoming events, just knowing the other was nearby brought a sense of comfort neither had experienced before. Their routines merged with surprising ease. Mornings began with coffee shared on the terrace overlooking the city. Evenings often ended with Kylie curled against Harper's side as they unwound from their respective days. Harper found himself leaving the office earlier, eager to return home to Kylie, while she discovered the joy of having someone to share both triumphs and frustrations with at the end of a long day. Of course, the adjustment wasn't without challenges. Harper's occasional middle-of-the-night business calls disrupted Kylie's sleep. Kylie's tendency to leave half-finished projects scattered around clashed with Harper's preference for order. But they navigated these differences with communication and compromise, each willing to adapt for the sake of their relationship. One evening in late July, Harper came home to find Kylie surrounded by flower samples and sketch paper at the dining table, her brow furrowed in concentration. "Tough client?" he asked, pressing a kiss to the top of her head before loosening his tie. "The toughest," Kylie replied with a sigh. "The Chen Williams wedding. 800 guests, 3 different venues over 2 days, and a bride who changes her mind hourly." Harper poured himself a drink, then came to stand behind her, massaging her tense shoulders. "Sounds stressful. Anything I can do to help?" Kylie leaned into his touch. "Just this," she murmured, her eyes closing briefly. "You always know exactly what I need." "Speaking of knowing what you need," Harper said, his hand still working on her shoulders, "I think you need a break, a real one." "I can't," Kylie protested, gesturing to the papers spread before her. "This wedding is in 3 weeks, and I'm nowhere near ready." "I'm not talking about tonight," Harper clarified. "I'm talking about next weekend. I have to go to the Maldives to check on our new shipping hub there, and I want you to come with me." Kylie turned in her chair to look at him. "The Maldives?" "Harper, I can't just fly off to the Indian Ocean in the middle of wedding season." "It would only be for 4 days," Harper said, moving to sit across from her. "Thursday to Sunday. You said yourself your team can handle regular operations without you for a few days." "And when was the last time you took an actual vacation?" Kylie opened her mouth to argue, then closed it again, realizing she couldn't remember her last real break. Even her trips to visit Laura in Chicago usually involved checking emails and calling the shop multiple times a day. "The Maldives," she repeated, a hint of longing creeping into her voice. "I've always wanted to see it." Harper took her hand across the table. "Say yes. Let me show you one of the most beautiful places on Earth. We'll stay at this incredible resort on a private island, pristine beaches, crystal clear water, and the most amazing coral reefs you've ever seen." "What about the Chen Williams wedding?" "You can work on your designs on the flight over," Harper suggested. 15 hours of uninterrupted time to sketch and plan. And I'll be in meetings part of each day, so you'll have time to check in with your team if needed. Kylie bit her lip, tempted beyond measure. "You're making it very hard to be responsible right now." Harper grinned, knowing he was winning her over. "That's the idea. Besides, think of the inspiration you'll find there, all those tropical flowers and colors." "Using my professional interests against me," Kylie accused with a smile. "That's playing dirty. Is it working?" Harper asked, his thumb tracing circles on her palm. Kylie sighed, then nodded. "Yes, it's working. I'll come to the Maldives with you, you impossible man." Harper's face lit up with boyish excitement. "You won't regret it. It's going to be amazing." A week later, Kylie found herself stepping off Harper's company jet onto a small airstrip in the Maldives, the humid air enveloping her like a warm blanket. As promised, she had spent much of the long flight finalizing designs for the Chen Williams wedding, while Harper reviewed reports and occasionally leaned over to offer his decidedly non-expert opinion on her floral sketches. A boat was waiting to take them to the resort, a collection of overwater bungalows connected by wooden walkways above a turquoise lagoon. Their accommodation was at the end of one walkway, offering privacy and uninterrupted views of the ocean and sunset. "Harper, this is." Kylie trailed off as she stepped into their bungalow, taking in the glass floor panels showing marine life below, the private deck with steps leading directly into the water, and the enormous bed draped in gauzy white fabric. This is beyond words. Harper watched her reaction with pleasure, enjoying her wonder. I'm glad you like it. I wanted our first real getaway to be special. The next 4 days were like a dream. While Harper attended meetings at the new shipping facility each morning, Kylie explored the island, discovering exotic flowers and plants she'd never seen before. She took countless photos for inspiration, and even arranged a small tour with the resort's gardener to learn about the native species. In the afternoons, they reconvened for snorkeling, swimming, and lounging on their private deck. Evenings were spent enjoying gourmet meals under the stars, followed by hours of intimate conversation and lovemaking that left them both feeling more connected than ever. On their final night, after a dinner of freshly caught fish and tropical fruits, Harper suggested a walk along the beach. The moon was full, casting a silver path across the gentle waves, and a warm breeze carried the scent of frangipani flowers. I don't want to leave tomorrow, Kylie admitted as they strolled hand in hand, the sand cool beneath their bare feet. This has been the most magical few days. We can come back, Harper promised. Anytime you want. One of the perks of dating a man with a private jet. Kylie laughed, bumping his shoulder playfully. Oh, is that why I'm with you? For the air travel benefits. That and my charming personality, Harper teased. They walked a bit further before Harper stopped, turning to face her. Something in his expression made Kylie's heart quicken. I have something for you, he said, reaching into the pocket of his linen pants. I was going to wait until we got home, but this moment seems perfect. He pulled out a small velvet box and Kylie's breath caught in her throat. Harper. Before you panic, he said quickly, this isn't an engagement ring. Not yet, anyway. I know it's still too soon for that. He opened the box to reveal a delicate platinum band set with a single perfect pearl surrounded by tiny diamonds. It's a promise, Harper explained, his eyes never leaving hers. A promise that what we have is real and lasting. A promise that I will love you, support your dreams, and be by your side through whatever comes our way. Tears welled in Kylie's eyes as he continued. I've never felt about anyone the way I feel about you, Kylie. You've brought color and warmth into my life when I didn't even realize how much I needed it. You challenge me, you inspire me, and you love me exactly as I am, not for my success or my wealth, but for me. He took the ring from the box. This isn't a timeline or a demand. It's simply my heart, given freely to you with the hope that someday, when we're both ready, we'll take the next step together. Kylie was crying openly now, overwhelmed by the sincerity and love in his words. Harper, she managed through her tears, I love you so much. Of course I accept your promise. He slipped the ring onto her right hand, a meaningful gesture acknowledging this was not yet an engagement, and then pulled her into his arms, kissing her with all the love and passion he felt. Later, as they lay tangled together in their bed, watching moonlight dance across the water visible through their bungalow's windows, Kylie raised her hand to admire the ring. It's beautiful, she said softly. How did you know I'd prefer a pearl to a diamond? Harper smiled, tracing the curve of her shoulder with his fingertips. You mentioned once that your mother had a pearl ring she wore every day, that pearls were organic and had character, unlike diamonds that were all about perfection. I remembered thinking it sounded exactly like your approach to beauty. Kylie turned to look at him, her heart full. You really do listen, don't you, to every word, Harper promised, pulling her closer. As they drifted toward sleep, Kylie reflected on the unexpected journey that had brought them together, a double date gone wonderfully wrong. A connection neither had been looking for, but both had needed desperately. Her sister had tried to set her up with Harper's sister's brother, never expecting her own sister would end up with him instead. Life, Kylie thought as sleep claimed her, had a beautiful way of rearranging the plans we made for ourselves and offering something even better in their place. 6 months later, on a crisp December evening, Bloom and Wild's annual holiday showcase was in full swing. The shop had been transformed into a winter wonderland, with elaborate seasonal arrangements drawing Brooklyn's most discerning clients and a few celebrities who had discovered Kylie's work through word of mouth. Behind the scenes, Kylie directed her now expanded team with calm efficiency, making last-minute adjustments to displays and greeting valued customers. Since returning from the Maldives, her business had exploded, partly due to connections made at Harper's charity gala and partly because of her increasingly innovative designs. The evergreen and pomegranate installation is a masterpiece, Harper murmured in her ear as he appeared beside her, handing her a glass of champagne. Everyone's talking about it. Thank you, Kylie said, accepting both the compliment and the drink gratefully. I wasn't sure the suspended elements would work with the heavier branches, but I think it came together. Harper smiled, watching her with obvious pride. In the months they'd lived together, he had come to admire her artistic vision and business acumen even more. What had begun as a small boutique was rapidly becoming one of the most sought-after floral design studios in the city. Laura just texted, Kylie said, checking her phone. Her flight landed. She should be here in about an hour. Perfect timing for the surprise, Harper replied, his eyes twinkling with mischief. Kylie's sister was flying in for Christmas, her first visit since Kylie had moved in with Harper. Hannah was also expected later, completing their small family gathering. As the evening wore on, the showcase was clearly a success. Orders for holiday arrangements poured in, and Kylie's team worked efficiently to process them while maintaining the festive atmosphere. Laura arrived just as the event was winding down, rushing in with a flurry of hugs and exclamations over the beautiful displays. This is incredible, Kylie. The shop looks amazing, and is that a write-up from Vogue I saw framed by the register? She embraced her sister tightly, then turned to greet Harper with genuine warmth. The business mogul himself, taking time away from ships to sell poinsettias, Harper laughed, giving Laura a friendly hug. I'm strictly here as moral support and champagne distributor. Kylie's the mastermind behind all of this. Well, you two certainly look happy, Laura observed, noting their easy rapport and the way they naturally gravitated toward each other even in the crowded shop. City life agrees with you, little sister. It's not the city, Kylie said, exchanging a loving glance with Harper. It's the company. Once the last customers had departed, and the staff had been sent home with heartfelt thanks and holiday bonuses, the three of them, along with Hannah who arrived just after closing, made their way upstairs to the apartment above the shop. Though Kylie now lived with Harper, she had kept her Brooklyn apartment as both an office space and occasional crash pad for late nights at the shop. Tonight, however, it served a different purpose, the setting for a special dinner and announcement. The small space had been transformed as artfully as the shop below. Twinkling lights were strung across the ceiling, candles glowed on every surface, and the dining table was set beautifully with Kylie's best dishes and a stunning centerpiece of winter blooms. Something smells amazing, Hannah commented as they entered. Please tell me you didn't cook, Harper. I haven't forgotten the Thanksgiving disaster of 2018. Harper grimaced at the memory. That turkey was defective. But no, we had this catered by Antonio. He insisted on handling it personally when I told him what we were celebrating. Laura raised an eyebrow. And what exactly are we celebrating? Besides Christmas, of course. Kylie and Harper exchanged glances, a silent communication passing between them. Why don't we open some wine first? Kylie suggested, directing everyone to the living room while Harper retrieved a bottle of champagne he had placed to chill earlier. Once everyone had a glass, Harper moved to stand beside Kylie, taking her hand in his. "We actually gathered you both here because we have some news," he began. "I knew it," Hannah exclaimed, nearly spilling her champagne in excitement. "You're engaged?" "No, not that," Kylie laughed, though she unconsciously touched the pearl promise ring that still adorned her right hand. "Not yet, anyway. We've decided to expand Maritime Ventures' philanthropic initiatives," Harper continued. "Specifically, we're launching the Bloom Foundation, a non-profit focused on restoring natural habitats and green spaces in underprivileged urban areas." "Kylie will serve as creative director," Harper added, his voice filled with pride. "Combining her expertise in plant life with sustainable landscape design to transform concrete jungles into living ecosystems." Laura and Hannah exchanged surprised looks. "That's amazing," Laura said finally. "But not what we were expecting." "Well," Kylie said, a smile playing at her lips, "that's not actually all the news we have." Harper squeezed her hand encouragingly. "We're also buying a brownstone in Park Slope," Kylie continued. "A place that's truly ours, not my apartment, not Harper's penthouse, but something we chose together. It has a garden for me and is still close enough to Manhattan for Harper's work." "That's wonderful," Hannah said sincerely. "When do you move in?" "After the renovations are complete," Harper replied. "Probably March or April. We're converting part of the ground floor into a design studio for Kylie, and the garden is being completely reimagined as a showcase for her work." Laura studied them both, her initial disappointment giving way to understanding. "You're building a life together, a real one with shared projects and a home that reflects both of you." "Exactly," Kylie said softly. "We're not rushing into marriage because we don't need to. We know where we're headed, but we're enjoying the journey too much to skip ahead to the destination." "Well, I think it's perfect," Hannah declared, raising her glass. "To new beginnings, new homes, and new foundations, both charitable and personal." "To new beginnings," everyone echoed, clinking glasses. As the evening progressed, filled with laughter, good food, and the warm glow of family, Kylie found moments to observe Harper with their sisters. He was relaxed and happy, teasing Hannah about her latest dating disaster, engaging Laura in a serious discussion about publishing trends, helping serve the meal with casual efficiency. This was the man she loved, not the billionaire CEO the world knew, but the thoughtful, intelligent, sometimes dorky Harper, who had stolen her heart on a restaurant terrace nearly 7 months ago. Later, after Laura and Hannah had departed for their respective accommodations with promises to meet for Christmas Eve dinner the following night, Kylie and Harper lingered in her small apartment, neither quite ready to return to the penthouse just yet. "Do you think they were disappointed we didn't announce an engagement?" Harper asked, pulling Kylie against his chest as they stood looking out at the Brooklyn skyline. "Maybe a little," Kylie admitted, "but they understand. We're doing this our way in our own time." Harper pressed a kiss to her temple. "And when will that time be, do you think? Not that I'm rushing you," he added quickly. "I'm perfectly happy with where we are." Kylie turned in his arms to face him. "I think," she said thoughtfully, "that we'll know when it's right. Maybe after we've moved into the brownstone and gotten the foundation up and running. Maybe next Christmas or the one after that. But I know it will happen, and I know it will be perfect because it will be us." Harper smiled, the love in his eyes unmistakable. "How did I get so lucky?" "I ask myself the same thing," Kylie replied, rising on tiptoes to kiss him. Though I think Hannah deserves some credit, without her meddling. Without her meddling, I might never have met the love of my life, Harper finished, pulling Kylie closer. As snowflakes began to fall gently outside the window, casting a magical glow over the Brooklyn night, Kylie reflected on the beautiful unexpectedness of it all. A double date gone wrong that had gone so right. A billionaire who valued simplicity. A florist who had found room in her busy life for love. Sometimes, Kylie thought as Harper's lips met hers in a tender kiss that held both passion and promise. The best things in life happen when we least expect them, when a sister's well-intentioned matchmaking leads us not to the person we're supposed to meet, but to the one we're meant to love forever.